The new endgame content for Diablo 4 is days away, and we got a first look of exactly what it's going to entail. So this was community manager Rich, and he is going through and showing his build that he's going to be playing to get through the Abattoir of Zir dungeon. It's important to note some of the affixes on the gear here because it's going to be relevant when you are planning your own builds, and I'm going to compare it to, my build and reasons I think my build is going to do well in the Abattoir of Zir content. But it's also important to note that he's playing a ball light sorceress, which many think it is a bugged build and doing way more damage than it's intended to. But that is the kind of builds that Blizzard has said they're balancing this dungeon around. So right here, right off the bat, I want to pause and we can see exactly how much these sigils are going to cost. It's kind of strange the order in which they're showing up here on the list, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, and 6 is up here. But we can immediately back into what these are going to cost in terms of sigil powder. So we know tier 1 only costs 800 sigil power. That's fine. But here, if you want to see, we can just grab our calculator. And if we want to back into all of the rest, we know that Rich has around 9,000 sigil powder. So we'll just call it an even 9. And then if we want to see, for instance, how much a tier 6 is going to cost, we know that he can make 8 of them. So let's say 9,000 sigil powder divided by 8. It's going to cost around 1,100. Now that's not exact because he has a little bit more, but that's around what it's going to cost to craft a level 6 sigil. Let's see. Let's pick out another one. How about level 10? Level 10 sigil, he can make 7 of them. 9,000 divided by 7. It's going to cost around the same. It doesn't seem to be going up too significantly. From 6 to 10, it went up about 100, 150. And then if we look at all the way up to tier 20, he can craft 5 of them currently. So 9,000 divided by 5, around 1,800 at level 20 or tier 20. It goes up to 25, so then we know that it might even be higher than this, but we've gained a lot of information actually just from this right here. So we can continue. Here you'll see he crafts one, and then he goes and looks at it. Immediately you can see that there are no affixes on any of these. So it seems like they are going to be static. So here you can see it is in fact static. There are no additional affixes added on to these sigils. Once he crafts it, the portal sort of activates, and this is the portal in Kedbardu where you're going to go in order to start your Abattoir fight. Okay, so the fight has started. Immediately we can see that Rich has turned off his damage indicators. So we don't know how much damage he is actually doing. This is a level 1 Abattoir of Zir. But here, if we slow down this previous footage, you can see that mobs in this tier 1, you can see it's a tier 1 Abattoir of Zir, have about 1 million life. There, that was about 1 million, and they're dying. That was 2 million. He died. That was about 750k. He had a little bit of life left, and then he eventually died. Okay, so Rich is going through, and you can see his damage is pretty good. He's melting these guys. It seems like each ball is doing around 750,000, just based on the amount of damage that it's doing to these mobs. All right, he's about to encounter a huge pack right here, and he seems to have plenty of defense to the point where he really didn't have to worry about this group of maybe 5 or 6 elites. Here they go, immune for a brief time. He had to kill something in order to break their immunity, and then he continues on. He's filling up the bar very quickly, again, just looking exactly like Greater Rifts from Diablo 3. Okay, this is important. Here he gets an artillery shrine. So this is confirming that there are going to be shrines in the Abattoir of Zir fight, similar to Greater Rifts again. Basically, when you pushed Greater Rifts, it became this task of having to fish for the right shrine or pylon in order to achieve the highest levels of Greater Rift. You couldn't do them without shrines, or if you wanted to get the best time, if you wanted to have the top spot on the leaderboard, you needed to fish for shrines in order to get the best times and in order to achieve it. I'm immediately concerned by the existence of shrines in the Abattoir of Zir, and that it will just cause people to shrine fish, and you're just going to keep restarting until you get the right shrine and be able to just blow through the whole dungeon with whatever shrine you get. But it's interesting because it also opens up some other ends for itemization. Maybe you want shrine duration buff for the first time ever because your shrines are absolutely going to wreck in the Abattoir of Zir. But for the most part, I dislike that the shrines are present and that it opens up the possibility of shrine hunting. You'll note that there are no items dropping. Potions still remain. So if you're using potions throughout, you can keep using them. All right, and we're getting to around the end here now, when Rich is going to fill up his bar, and okay, immediately his screen became almost like blood-soaked, and the bosses are spawning. So the timer remains, takes a huge hit there from the bosses. Okay, he opened up his screen, and I just want to look at this real quick. It doesn't appear to be grayed out or anything, his skill tab, which makes me think that respecking is possible. One, if your skill tree is not filled out or is not grayed out, you could potentially change your skills here. It doesn't seem like there's anything stopping him from doing so. That may also extend to gear as well, just from my initial thoughts. So the ball light is doing a decent amount of damage here. Can't really tell exactly how much he's doing or how much life these guys have, but they definitely hit hard. So something interesting about these bosses is it doesn't look like they've gone unstoppable, but Rich is not able to really CC or stun them. I don't know if that is something with his build that he's not able to do that, or what. I don't see stagger bars for these mobs either, so I don't know if they're going to be completely unstoppable or if they're going to be able to be staggered, or could you just CC them into oblivion? So here at the end, we see that he gets rewards. We see he gets an amulet here, one of the unique Sork amulets, and some items. At least they're all ancestral. I'm guessing this 218,000 is experience. Seems like the abattoir is designed that you should be 100 before you can go in, but it looks like you get a bit of experience, some gold, some items. And one last thing, at the end here, as we finish the Nightmare Dungeon, nothing drops. So all of those drops that you would have been getting from all of those mobs, they just kind of disappear. It looks like the item power isn't even a guaranteed 925, so you'd be getting better gear from just farming Uber Duriel or world bosses. There's really no incentive gear-wise to be farming Abattoir of Zir. I'm trying to think of what the incentive actually is, other than bragging rights for saying that you were the first to clear a tier 25. I don't see that you're getting any items. Really, it's just that fat Glyph Xp is what you're getting. So essentially, they've created this really overpowered glyph, and they've given you the only way to level it up reasonably, which is to do these Abattoir of Zirs. So if you want to feel OP and strong, you have to just continuously do them and grind them to get this big XP boost to level up your Tears of Blood, and you will get power that way. Really, it doesn't seem like you are going to get power any other way from fighting them, because it doesn't seem to give much good gear at all. I didn't see a sigil drop, but the devs confirmed that a sigil would drop. And here we can see exactly how much experience we're getting from a tier 1 Nightmare Dungeon. So it looks like just tier 1 alone gives us 1,000 XP. I'm hoping that this scales up significantly from there. This is already great compared to Nightmare Dungeon, so you're going to get a ton more XP. You can upgrade all of your other glyphs as well, in addition to your Tears of Blood, with this special XP from the Abattoir of Zir fight. And you can see that just the first level, though, of the Tears of Blood glyph is going to cost 2,000 experience just to upgrade. This is immediately concerning. Again, unless this XP available scales near the same, 2000 XP for just level 1 on the Tears of Blood. It seems like it would be a lot in other cases. And then we can see after Rich upgrades it, it's going to go from a 2000 XP cost up to 4,600 XP for level 2. So here now he goes through a couple of the other sigils that he has crafted. So here you can see that the other sigils also do not have any affixes on them seemingly. They all look the same. The only difference is that they are different tiers, and this is when he asks if you were watching the live stream which one we wanted him to play, and he chose the Nightmare Dungeon, and he chose the tier 10 to run after. So here immediately we can see we are in a tier 10 Abattoir of Zir. It is a different level, so this is an ice level. There are some different mobs as well. Much tankier than before. So whereas before he was one-shotting, now it is taking a number of seconds. Here are these blood portals causing things to go invincible again. This was also in... Yeah, so these blood boils seem like they are consistent across the different abattoir levels. Something to look out for because they're going to slow you down, right? This is a race against time. They are 10 minutes long, and those boils that make things go invincible are going to slow you down. So you got to make sure you get them. Here we're up against now some elite packs, and we can see that the build is taking a lot of damage, whereas before it wasn't really an issue. He's not getting one shot after scaling up from 1 to 10, but you can see that this stuff has a lot more life. He did make some changes to his build, going from 1 to 10, and he kind of favored more on the side of DPS. He put on Tybalts, and even still, he is lacking damage seemingly to clear like this level 10. The bar is filling up very, very quickly, and he's not able to keep up with it. It's important to note that he did not put on the Tears of Blood glyph. So that glyph is expected to help carry us through these higher levels. So definitely we'll want to be prioritizing that in our builds. So one other thing to note is that these mobs are only level 157, and this is a tier 10. So there's still 15 levels to this, and we know that tier 1 was only 155, tier 10 is only 157. It may not be going up to 174 that some people thought the monster level would be. Now, it's dependent. Now, when we talk about the damage calculation formula, we may actually not need as much armor as we previously thought, because we can see here that while we've gone up 9 tiers, the monster level has only gone up by 2. So I don't know if this is just a visual thing, if they're not actually level 157, if they're actually level 164 or whatever, but important to note that we may not need as much armor as we previously thought. Okay, so Rich continues to fight through. He is running low, and now he is out of potions. And we can see here, he just exploded and died. Upon death, he immediately left the Abattoir of Zir fight, and it was confirmed. The devs confirmed that if you die once, it's over. If you play in a group and one person dies, the whole fight is over for everyone. You cannot die in the Abattoir of Zir, or you lose the fight. This seems like it could be potential for a huge sigil dust sink if you do not have enough sigil dust to sustain these attempts. If you're constantly failing and you're not getting any sort of sigils from completing the fight, then you are going to run out of your sigil dust very quickly. So I highly recommend farming up sigil dust before this goes live. So just some final thoughts. It really seems like damage is what you want to prioritize in these Abattoir of Zir levels. Getting that glyph and getting it leveled are going to be extremely important. Concerns are sigil dust, being able to sustain that. Hopefully, whatever sigil we get, we didn't get an example from watching, but it is expected that Each level, once you clear it, will give you a key for the next level of Abattoir of Zir. So that you'll be able to maintain it a bit. But I am concerned that we're going to be stuck farming a ton of nightmare dungeons in order to attempt Abattoir of Zir levels, which is okay. But if it takes, 1,000 each attempt, salvaging tier 100 sigils, I think only returns you about 100 or so. So that ends up being like 7 or 8 tier 100 nightmare dungeons you'd have to run just to get enough dust to attempt one Abattoir of Zir fight. So just something to be aware of. So we're going to be talking more about the Abattoir of Zir and the other things discussed in the developer campfire chat on Saturday. Myself and another rogue player, Barricade, who you might have known, are going to do a stream, and all the details of it are here. It's going to start at 5 p.m. Eastern, and excited to catch you all there.